Okay, I want you to do the following activity. I want you to take a piece of A4 paper, and then I want you to write, or you set it out like this. First of all, the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to write your title here at the top of the page. Now the second thing is I want you to create blocks like these, and these are for the chapters of your dissertation. You'll see that your first block, chapter 1, then chapter 2, chapter 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, that is if you have 7 chapters. Now the first and the 7th chapter, you may have the blocks a bit smaller because you're not going to write anything in that block. The first chapter you just write introduction, and the 7th chapter you just write conclusion. We will be focusing on the bulk or the main body of the dissertation in this exercise. Now this exercise is just to get an overview of what you will be discussing. What I want you to do in these different chapters, let's start off with chapter 2. Remember, leave chapter 1 and chapter 7. That's not part of the exercise at this point. We put it in just to make sure that it is there and just to be aware that it is there. But we will be focusing on only chapter 2 until up to the chapter before the final chapter. Now, first of all, let's take chapter 2 as an example. I want you to look at the issues that you will be discussing in chapter 2, but there will be one proviso. You only have an option of writing 4 options. In other words, I want you to write 4 headings. 1, 2, 3, 4. You may have less than 4, but you may not have more than 4. What I want you to do is these will be the issues that you will be discussing. It's not necessary. It will be in the format of a heading, but it will not necessarily be headings in the chapter. It will be the issues that you will be dealing with. I'm going to write it here. It will be the issues that you will be addressing in this particular chapter. So you might write chapter. This is the first issue. This is the second issue. This is the third issue, and that is the 4th issue. Not more than 4 issues. I want you to use as few words as possible. I don't want you to write sentences or lots of things. Basically, it's just an idea of what you will be discussing in this particular chapter, and this the shorter the issue can be, the better. I don't want you to discuss it in too much detail. The same thing goes for chapter 3. You'll have a maximum of 4 issues that you'll be discussing. The same goes for chapter 4. Chapter 5 and chapter 6, if that is your second last chapter. Okay, so those are the issues, the short issues that you will be discussing. Now, after you've done this is the second part of the exercise. After you've done that, we move on to the third part of the exercise, and that is to find out what the logical flow will be between these different chapters. When you start off with chapter 2, these are the issues that you'll be discussing. But when you get to your last issue, the question is, how does that flow over to the next chapter? In other words, here we need some kind of logical flow between this and then the next heading or the start of chapter 3. They need some kind of link or logical flow that goes from this question to that question. The same goes for this. You have to ask yourself, how does this 4th issue, how does this relate to the first issue in chapter 4? There should be some kind of logical progression, because there's a logical flow in the entire dissertation, and that is basically to set out what are the issues that you will be dealing with, what is the questions that you are dealing with in a logical flow. The same thing goes for the next chapter. This issue should be linked in some other way to that issue. This issue should be linked in some other way to that first issue there. Okay, so the question is, how are you going to link this? And you may perhaps just write a short note here at the bottom to just explain how you will move over from this question to that question. Then we get to the 4th issue, And the fourth part, or the fourth part of this exercise, and the fourth part of this exercise is you have to find out if this, what you've discussed here, if this in fact answers the research question that you've set out in chapter 1. Remember, with your research proposal, you've compiled a research question, and you have to ask yourself, how does this answer the research question in chapter 1? So, does the above answer the research question? Okay, and the answer has to be yes. If it doesn't, you will have to revisit this, and this will be dealt with in the conclusion, but we're not going to discuss that at this point. These are basically issues that I want you to deal with. So just to recap, first of all, you take a piece of paper. You first of all write the title. Then the second thing is you write the issues in each particular chapter. The third issue is to find out what the logical flow between the different chapters would be. In other words, the end of this chapter, how it links up to the first part of the next chapter. The same goes for each and every chapter. And then the fourth part of this exercise is, does the above answer the research question? This entire thesis, will it then answer the research question, and in order to have a particular finding? Well, after you've done this, I want you to take a photo of that and then email it to me. Thank you.